why it's happening. We've seen that even in reporting of how many people have had COVID. So how this can affect all of us is that, some of you are business owners, plenty of you are out there working in the service industry, where you're exposed, and so this would limit that liability. So that's how the bill works. The next one, let's look at HB 6013, right? So this is what we call E-Verify. So right now, today, you can use E-Verify system if you'd like, or you can use the standard I-9 form when you employ employees. This bill would require businesses to use E-Verify instead of the I-9 form, so it would be the only option. The issue with E-Verify is not so much as a resource, it's more that as a database, it has errors, and those can result in ineligible workers receiving error messages that they can't be employed. So imagine you find this wonderful candidate on paper, you're looking at all their documents, it looks like they're fine. Normally you could do it with just an I-9 form and the required documents, and now there's an additional burden that this error message is coming back. Well, the employee and you only have 8 days to resolve that. And when you're trying to fill positions and you're trying to keep business going, especially after a time like this with COVID, it can be very difficult and burdensome on the employers. And the employer has to either fire workers or risk liability. So this is what the E-Verify bill is about. Some other things that we've noticed is that it would provide penalties and loss of licenses for non-compliance for businesses. So what does that mean? You have a contract and you're contracted to, to do business under a certain contract. And because you didn't comply, so now you have penalties to pay for a system that you don't have control over. It adds also additional regulation to businesses during a pandemic. I mean, businesses are taxed enough right now, stressed with everything that's been going on. And so adding to that in a pandemic can be a very difficult situation. So we want to definitely make sure people can stay employed, have access to jobs. And a lot of people say, well, how does that affect me being Puerto Rican? Well, it'll affect any of us. Whatever errors are in the system, immigrant or not, though that could be reflective on just an error in the database. And so that's where the issues come in. All right, what about HB 923 or Senate Bill 300? So education equality. So this one discusses help for dreamers and undocumented students. And there's two bills that are kind of similar, do two different things. So for state financial aid awards, a student may not be denied residency classification because of their immigration status, right? So for the immigrant community, this could be a great positive. Many of them have grown up here, especially our dreamers. And so the effect could be that Bright Futures in itself becomes a truly merit-based function. So you have the merit, you're eligible, versus adding any other eligibility or ineligibility for residency or immigration status. And it could encourage better academic performance for all students across the board, because if everyone is just looking at merit, then there's a wholeness to want to be able to meet the requirements, no matter what your status is. So that's this bill. In effect, there's also HB 6037 and Senate Bill 1956. So this would, again, affect students and families. So this instead deletes parts of the waivers for out-of-state students. This one will require out-of-state tuition for undocumented students and would also impact DACA recipients. So the effect is that there's an impact on skill attainment. We want people to be able to attain new skills. We want graduates to be able to move forward and contribute to our economy. We know how much different trades give back and create growth opportunities and starting new businesses. Immigrants are known for starting new businesses. And so that's a great resource there. And this would impact future economic development. Being able to have the more options of doing that would limit those who qualify. So that's a look at the two bills and just the different effects as a result. Those are the bills and how they affect immigrants in our community. Again, just talking, brief overview on what we see is the immigrant impact and how it would affect the Puerto Rican community and how it affects you. So we did want to share that as part of the session and leave some time for any questions and answers. So I'll go ahead and stop here and leave some room for any kind of comments and questions. One last thought before we get started. So I know that we're looking at this as a state issue because these are all the bills that are state level, and today's about Tallahassee and Puerto Rican Day at the Capitol. But I just want to leave you with a mention that although this is a state focus today, immigration is a federal issue too. And so we hope that both Scott and Rubio would take a look at standing with our community. We have our Venezuelan TPS holders, we have our Dreamers, right? And these are our Florida neighbors. And so there are many bills that are coming at the federal level. And so we just want to encourage to take a look at supporting our community here in Florida, who would also be able to just really benefit from those opportunities. So we'll leave some time in case anyone has questions or comments. You can put a comment in the box. All right, we have one comment from Maria Rodriguez. Thank you. Agree. We need Rubio and Scott to help bring relief to Florida families. That's Maria Rodriguez from Florida Immigrant Coalition. Thank you for Maria for joining us. Additionally, we depend on the farm workers to eat, and it's not fair to want their labor and not their full selves. Maria, thank you so much. Yes, it's a comment in the box. This has detrimental impact on nuestra boricuas in Florida because of all of the errors in the databases. We're talking about the E-Verify from a comment from the box, especially if you have a common name shared with many people. That's very true. So when you have a last name, good example, Maria, last name Rodriguez, right? My maiden name is Lopez. So common names, they tend to get misunderstood. I can tell you from experience, Melissa Lopez in itself, my maiden name, there are 3 in the state of Florida. And so I've had issues with other systems. And so I have that experience when it comes to common names. So I totally can relate. Another note, driver's license for immigrants makes sense from an economic and safety sense. Uninsured motorist burdens fall and productivity rises. Yes, I mean, a lot of people would love to be able to insure their vehicles, and imagine if that burden was less, if we had more insured drivers, right? It could only be a positive for all of us in the community. Thank you all for joining. I know this was a shorter session to go over the bills, but it was, again, just a brief outlook on how the bills affect our immigrant community. I'm going to pass the mic for a moment to Yanitzi. Just a moment. Hi, Yanitzi.
Hola, Melissa. Thank you so much, Melissa, for this presentation. I think that is so important for the Puerto Rican community to be more involved with everything that eats around immigration topics and legislation, and just be involved of it. So thank you so much. And thank you also for our interpreter for sign language. They have been the whole day providing this service free of charge to include everyone as part of these conversations. Also, we have the attendee. We are almost at the end of the program, but you cannot miss the end of it. So I will ask you to join us in the closing and social gathering. We have some surprises for you all. I know that you will love it. This platform provides a very interactive mode for you to connect with others as if you were in Tallahassee physically. So let's try that feature, and also let's connect with others. In addition to that, we're going to provide the videos and the messages from the legislators and representatives that have been supporting this event since the conception of it. Thank you so much, Melissa. Once again, I don't see any other comment other than good stuff, but I don't see any other question pending. Okay, so with that, once again, thank you. I hope that you enjoy us to the last portion of this program. And for that, we have some videos to show. Thank you.